The next season of Marvel Snap is upon us, and it's a fancy one. Uncork your finest champagne, sip with your pinkies out, for in this video, we will attend the Hellfire Gala, and then just go stand in the corner and silently judge everyone, as well as the new cards in this installment of
Is It Worth It?
Greetings nerds. In this video, we're going to be checking out the new cards, giving them a rating, and then also take a look at the locations and the cool new variants coming to Marvel Snap. Let's just jump right in and start off with the Season Pass card, Sebastian Shaw. Sebastian Shaw is a 3 energy 4 power card that reads, whenever this card permanently gains power, gain +2 more power wherever this is. Oh, so just to cover real quick of how this card actually works, basically ongoing effects aren't going to affect Sebastian Shaw. When it says permanent power, it's referring to stuff like Nova exploding or Okoye, Forge, Nakia. You get the picture. So I personally think this is a really solid card for a Season Pass card. I always like it whenever these Season Pass cards they're not great, but they're not bad either, and they usually end up finding a home one way or another. I think Sebastian Shaw actually might make a meme deck come to life. You could run a Silver Surfer deck with like Forge, Okoye, Nakia, Killmonger, and Nova, and then do the other general stuff you would play in a Surfer list like Brood, Werewolf by Night, etc, etc. If that's the case and you have 4 or 5 waves to buff the power of your cards permanently, Sebastian Shaw is going to be a big boy. If you build your deck right, I could see Sebastian Shaw having just as much power as Werewolf by Night, at least in a Surfer deck specifically. But aside from Surfer, I don't really see a place where Sebastian Shaw is going to have like a for sure home. Like maybe you could try to make some meme decks works with Forge, basically. Forge and Nova are the only thing that really come to mind where it wouldn't be in Silver Surfer and you'd end up playing Sebastian Shaw there, because Forge is a relatively ubiquitous card now and sees play in quite a few decks. But just the fact that he actually might make Okoye and Nakia playable at all is pretty cool to me. Next card up, Blob. Blob is a 6 energy 4 power card that reads, on reveal, merge your deck into this and gain its total power. Ongoing, can't be moved. Okay, so seriously, I like this card. If your deck is built moderately decent to make your Blob good, it's gonna be the biggest 6-drop in the game. If not, get out of here. Big fat guy. That's the biggest card in the game now. Just in Sandman decks, Blob is going to be massive. You can Electro into a Blob, into an Arnim Zola. You're gonna have like a 40 power Blob in several lanes. So yeah, Sandman ramp, and then also I was actually thinking about as a finisher for Sauron lists. I mean, the power you have in like a Sauron Shuri Taskmaster deck is pretty big. So Blob can be like your backup Taskmaster, or, you know, sometimes you don't do the Shuri stuff and you just end up playing like Sauron into, you know, Typhoid Mary into a random Taskmaster on 5. You know, your games don't always go as planned. And the Sauron decks are running Elaheh right now as a finisher, as a backup plan to Taskmaster. Well, if your Blob is in there, just absorbing a Red Skull is gonna be great. That's like a 618 right there. I mean, yeah, just absorbing one single card makes Blob almost the biggest 6-drop in the game. Either way, I'm excited to try out Blob for sure. All right, next up is Seline, the BDSM card that we've always wanted. Huh? Yeah, check out her outfit. Woo! Anyways, Seline is a 1 energy -1 power card that reads, on reveal, afflict the lowest power card in each player's hand with -3 power. Weird card, very niche. I think the excitement I've seen, or the theory crafting I've seen with people talking about Seline is a little exaggerated, overblown. Realistically, this card is going to go in one deck. Any deck that plays the Nihilist will play Seline. Outside of that, really, where are you going to use this? I've heard people like on podcasts be like, oh, you could like hit their Iron Man and blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, sure, that's fine. But really what you're using this for is to, at some point, send it over to the opponent and probably make your goblins bigger in some way. So yeah, I mean, this, don't get me wrong, this is going to be a staple in Junk and Annihilus decks. But outside of that, what are you doing with this? Nothing. That being said, I'll probably get her. I mean, I think all the cards this month are really well designed, so I'm probably going to pick up all of them, to be honest with you. But yeah, on to the next card. Havoc is up next. And this is a cool card. This is a cool one. So real quick caveat, the image on screen here, he's a 0 power card, not a 1 power card. This is from an earlier data mine. The text is the same, and Havoc reads, after each turn you lose 1 max energy and this gains +4 power. Just to clarify real quick on how Havoc works, basically the turn you play him is the max energy you're gonna have for the rest of the game. I've seen some people wonder about this, and yeah, I guess technically you lose 1 max energy, and I can see how that would be confusing, but just shortcut it. You play him on turn 3, you have max 3 energy. That's how it works. Also, if I see someone suggest sending this over with Viper, or I hear that again on Twitter or in another creator's video, I'm gonna lose my damn mind.
Always angry.
That's a terrible idea. No, sending over a Martyr with Viper is stupid. Sending over Havoc with Viper is stupid. No. All right, anyways, to the card. First thing I'll say is it is absolutely a fact in Marvel Snap that when there's a card that passively gets bigger as the game goes on, it's good. I don't care what the card is. Every single card that has done that in one way or another is proven to be a good card. Angela, Sunspot, Nebula, Werewolf, Collector, any card that just gets bigger by default or doing something that you want to do anyway is a good card. So I'm a little surprised to see people shit on Havoc so much. I got roasted on my stream one night, and I'm getting a little bit of shit for it on Twitter, but I think this card's going to be solid, especially in bounce decks. Now, no, not because you bounce him, but because bounce decks, especially when you beast a few cards, doesn't need more than 3 energy to be good at all. So you can play Havoc on turn 3 in a bounce list, and then operate with 3 energy and still put out massive power with a bunch of free 1-drops like the Hood and Forge and Nico, blah blah blah, you get it. And he might actually also be useful in decks that generally don't need that much energy. Like Mr. Negative, obviously. You could play him out because Mr. Negative, once you flip all your stuff, doesn't really need that much energy. And sometimes Dracula dump decks, you can play him out on turn 4, and he'll be an easy 8 power, and the rest of the game you're just playing out cheap 1-drops, and maybe like a Dracula, and then having your Dracula discard like an Infinite or something on the top end. But yeah, I'm interested in this card. I am going to die trying to make this work. I have to. All right, real quick on the locations here. First up, we have the White Palace. The White Palace reads, copy the highest cost card in your opponent's hand. We got a White Queen for location. That's cool, I guess. It's not really gonna have too big of an impact. The next location we got up here is Castle Blackstone. Reads, the player winning here gets +1 energy each turn. A very cool location. I feel like this is sort of like the new Jin location that came out. People will definitely fight over this. Real quick on the variants, there will be a Hellfire Gala shop takeover on December 11th. These are the variants. They're pretty sick. I actually like most of these, except the She-Hulk. I don't really like that one at all. But anyways, yeah, I'm stoked that there's more cool variants coming out. And the final cool news of this season is we are getting albums and emotes. Apparently there's going to be a new album feature for completing your variants collections. I assume it's some sort of like collection track thing where you unlock things like these emotes. So yeah, a new way to be toxic to each other. Yay! Alright, now for the final letter grades and rankings for these cards. Sebastian Shaw gets a C+. It's not great, it's not bad, and I think he's probably a staple in Surfer decks from here on out. Blob gets a B-. He's for sure a staple in ramp decks from now on, and there's some potential homes like Sauron decks, maybe Lockjaw type decks, solely because Blob could be the biggest 6-drop in the game now. Seline gets a C. She's a junk staple, a good one at that, but there's no use outside of that. Can't wait to get roasted for this one, but Havoc actually gets a C+. Call me crazy, but I think someone is going to figure out how to make Havoc good, and scaling cards always have a history of being solid in one way or another. All right, that's it. As usual, my recommendation for the season pass is get it. Always get the season pass. And I really like the season. The cards are super interesting. Maybe they're not the strongest we've seen in a while, but the design of them really encourages you to think about deck building a lot more than the past couple of seasons. The cards here aren't like Annihilus and Loki, where it's like, well, this is obvious how they're gonna get played. Now, I think these cards are more nuanced, and you could do a lot of weird stuff for them, and I think there's going to be more decks that surprise people out of these cards than some of the cards in the past. Thank you so much for watching. If you're still here at this point, leave pinkies out in the comments section below, just so I know who the cool kids are. But yeah, we'll see you in the next video. Later on, nerds.